What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about my favorite accidental topwater rod. The rod I have here is St Croix Victory. It's the 7.2 medium heavy moderate fast action. They call it the cranker. So generally this rod was developed, I'm pretty sure, for smaller crankbaits, like a DT4, DT6, maybe up to the new DT8s, stuff like that. I don't think I'd throw a DT10 on this. I'd go something a little bit stiffer. But yeah, I think that's what this rod was intended for. I didn't realize that when I bought it. When I bought this, I was looking for a new swim jig and spinnerbait rod. I kind of fish a swim jig and spinnerbaits on a pretty similar rod. I generally don't like the standard medium heavy fast action rods for those type of applications. I like something with a little more moderate bend. So when I saw the specs of this rod, I thought, perfect. This rod is exactly what I want. 7.2, medium heavy, moderate fast. The lure rating is 5/16 to 7/8, so that was right in the wheelhouse what I was looking for. I was like, damn, St. Croix just came out with these new Victory rods. That rod's looking like it's going to be my perfect swim jig slash spinnerbait rod. So when I finally got it in and took it out of the rod tube behind me, I was extremely disappointed. It's a very, very light medium heavy. This thing could not handle a swim jig, and it could not handle a spinnerbait. It is way too light for that. I think that what they meant this rod for was like DT4s, DT6s, shallow crankbaits, small shallow crankbaits. Which, it's good to have a rod for those. I really didn't have anything to throw those. I don't throw those type of lures too much, but it's good to have something that, if the situation calls for it, I got a rod that can handle it. So I kind of tucked it away because it wasn't going to work for what I intended it to be. So I kind of tucked it away and didn't think much about it. And fast forward to this past summer. So I bought this over last winter. So then this past summer, I started fishing for smallmouth a lot more, particularly topwater. Normally when I'm fishing topwater, I used pretty much everyone's standard medium fast action rod. It's a 7.2 Zodius, what I have. It's a 7.2 Zodius medium fast action. For largemouth, it was good. You lose fish once in a while, no big deal. But it handled what I thought it handled topwater as well. Once I started fishing for smallmouth more, I was losing so many fish on topwater, mostly for when I say topwater, I mostly mean walking baits. That's generally what I'm fishing. I'll throw whopper ploppers and choppos. Not as much as I throw. Walking baits are my jam. So I was losing so many fish, man. It got to the point where I didn't really even want to fish the topwaters anymore, even though the fish were absolutely it was probably from like the middle of June until about the end of July, where this lake I was fishing, I could just throw a walking bait all day and get smashed all day in anywhere from 10 to almost 20 feet of water. These smallmouth would just come and torpedo it. And it was a blast. But when you're losing fish like that, it's miserable. So I think it was Lee Livesey that I saw a video on, and he said, I think it was him, he said he threw his topwaters, it was some professional bass angler, said he throws his topwaters on more of like a cranking rod, something with a much more parabolic bend. And I thought about it for a few minutes. I'm like, man, that makes perfect sense. These walking baits have pretty small treble hooks. Crankbaits have treble hooks, and the reason why we use the moderate bends on treble hooks is so the fish don't spit it. Well, with smallmouth, when they hit a topwater, they go berserko. They usually go nuts anyway, but these fish, they were jumping and just spitting it, and I losing my mind. So I was sitting at home one night thinking, I was like, I got that St. Croix rod that I haven't been using, the Victory rod. So took it out the next day, spooled it up with some braid, started throwing my topwaters on this rod, and oh my God, losing fish ended. You're still going to lose fish once in a great while, but holy crap, when the fish hit a topwater or walking bait on this rod, they're pinned. I mean, the rod's got enough backbone. I mean, it is technically still a medium. It's a light medium heavy, but it's technically still a medium heavy. So it's got enough backbone. You know, and I was throwing mainly my main walking bait is a Shower Blows 125 or a Berkeley Jaywalker. They're both pretty big, you know, basically an ounce. I think they're 3/4 of an ounce, maybe an ounce, but they're up there. They're not small. So I can bomb them a mile with this rod. And you got the tip section of this rod, so you get the moderate fast. So you got very, very parabolic bend. I mean, we're bending all the way down to the second to last guy. We still got some bend there. But then the backbone is enough to handle those type of baits. And so from there on out, I started using this rod as my topwater rod, and it is an absolute gem. It is the only Victory series rod I own. I own a bunch of St Croix. I own Legend Glass. I got a Legend Elite, Legend X. I got Legend Tournaments. But this is the only Victory rod I own. So I can't speak to the rest of the lineup, which I've only heard great things about them. I love all the other St Croix rods I have. So if you guys are looking for a topwater rod that can handle, you know, things like Shower Blows, the 125 Shower Blows, and even whopper ploppers, like the 110 whopper ploppers I can throw in this. I did change the hooks out on the whopper ploppers to the owner ST36s because they're a little bit thinner than the stock hooks on the whopper plopper. So you can still get a hook set good with this rod. But yeah, it was one of the best fishing decisions I've made this past season. And it went from being a nightmare to throw walking baits for smallies to one of the most fun things I've ever done fishing. Like I said, I had like a month and a half where if I wanted to, I mean, you can catch them other ways too, but if I wanted to, I could just cruise around tossing a walking bait all day and just keep getting blow up after blow up, and who doesn't love that? I mean, that's an absolute blast. The tip isn't too soft, so walking the bait is super easy. It walks the baits awesome, but the bend is parabolic enough that those fish just stay pinned, and you have way less headaches of losing fish. If you want to see the technical aspects of the rod, I would just recommend to go to St. Croix's website. I don't really geek out over the technical aspects of rods and reels and whatnot. I just mainly care about how they perform when they're in my hands and in terms of my fishing style. But you can go on their website and you can read all about, if you're really into that stuff, you can read how they made their SC3 graphite, which is a combination of SC2 and SC4, I believe. So it's a combination of their lower end graphite and their higher end graphite, which blended to make these rods. I mean, this rod is so featherly light. It's amazing. It's a gem. It's a pleasure to fish with all day, being so light. I generally throw an SLX XT on here for my topwaters. That's the reel I used all last season, and I mean, it was an amazing combination for walking baits. That reel allows you to bomb cast. The rod helps bomb cast. But yeah, if you're looking for a dedicated topwater rod, or if you're using what I think is the industry standard of a medium fast action rod for topwaters, which I'll never use again. If you're looking for something a little different, or if you're losing a lot of fish, highly recommend this rod. Your days of losing fish will be over. If you have any comments, any questions, leave it down below and I'll be sure to answer them. Until next time, make sure you like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks guys. Thanks for watching.